All right, welcome in everybody to our deep dive. And today we're talking all about putter fitting. Everyone wants to make sure they can get that ball rolling just right. And we got a fascinating source for this deep dive. We're going to be checking out a recording of a putter fitting expert. And get this, he's analyzing his own putting stroke.
Yeah, he's using four different putters, so it's kind of like peeking behind the curtain, seeing how the pros analyze this data to improve their game. And he was using all sorts of putter styles too, like
Hmm.
mallets and blades from some big name brands, Adel, Ping, TaylorMade. He even tried, messing with the weight of the putter, adding some weight to see how that affected things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he found out some stuff about his putting stroke he didn't even realize. Even the experts.
That's fascinating. Really emphasizes how personal putter fitting can be. You would think with all that expertise, he would have it all figured out already, but data reveals some really surprising tendencies.
So let's break it down. What were some of the biggest surprises he had? Well, one of the first things that jumped out at me was his face rotation. You know, how much the putter face twists open or close during the stroke. And he was really surprised by how much this varied depending on which putter he was using.
So different putters can actually affect how much your putter face twists. Why is face rotation so important?
Well, it's all about consistency. If your face is rotating too much or too little, you're going to see those putts veering off target, pushing or pulling away from the hole. Think of it like you're throwing a dart but with a wobbly hand. It's just not going to be accurate. And different putter designs can influence how the face rotates. You know, things like weight distribution and the shape of the head.
That makes sense. So what kind of putters were giving him the most and least face rotation? I bet our listeners dying to know.
Well, keep in mind, what works for him might not work for everyone else. It's all individual, right?
Right,
But for
right.
him, he found that the heaviest putter he tested, that resulted in the least amount of face rotation. On the other hand, a putter with more weight concentrated in the head gave him the most rotation.
So heavier putter, less twisting. I bet some golfers would think heavier putter means it's harder to control.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. It's not just about the overall weight, but how that weight is distributed. And this kind of brings us to another key finding here: the impact of the putter weight on his path. He discovered that a lighter putter, a TaylorMade truss in this case, led to an out-to-in path that he wasn't happy with.
He must have been pretty frustrated, especially given his
I'm
experience.
sure he wasn't expecting that.
So why would a lighter putter cause his stroke to go out to end like that?
Well, it comes down to swing weight. Imagine swinging a twig versus swinging a baseball bat. You're going to have more control with that heavier bat, right? Swing weight is basically a measure of how heavy the putter head feels during the swing. And a lighter swing weight, well, that can make it harder to control the putter head, leading to those inconsistent swings he was seeing.
So the lighter putter was making his stroke go a little wild.
Exactly. And remember, he even tried adding weight to his preferred putter just to see what would happen. He started by adding 20 grams and then bumped it up to 40.
Now he's really getting into the nitty-gritty. So what kind of changes did he see when he added that weight?
Well, he was looking to fine-tune his launch angle and what are called zero skid numbers, that describes how the ball comes off the putter face. And he did notice some positive changes, but it also affected his face rotation and path in ways he wasn't super happy with.
It's all a delicate balance then, finding that sweet spot where the weight feels right, you have optimal launch, and you're keeping a consistent stroke path. But I imagine all those factors are connected somehow.
Absolutely. They all play a role in determining how the ball rolls off the putter face. He even mentioned that he felt the pressure of being observed during the experiment might have affected his stroke, which I think we can all relate to.
That's so true. We've all been there feeling self-conscious when people are watching our putting. It's amazing how much the mental game can impact our performance.
Yeah, it really is. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about impact ratio and ball speed. So he measured very carefully how consistent the ball speed was across the putter face, which really gets at how forgiving a putter is. Some putters can compensate for those slight mishits we all have.
So some putters are going to help you out even when you don't hit the sweet spot perfectly. Which ones impressed him the most?
He was particularly impressed with one putter that gave him consistent ball speeds, even when he didn't hit the center of the face. He attributed that to the putter's face technology, which was designed to improve that forgiveness.
Yeah, not all putters that claim to be high MOI or forgiving actually deliver. It's good to see the data and cut through the marketing hype. Speaking of data, I hear he made a pretty surprising discovery about his aim.
Yeah, this one's a real eye-opener. Despite being, a seasoned putter fitter, he found out that he was consistently aiming one putter to the left.
Wow, even the experts.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many of us are aiming slightly off without realizing it.
Yeah, and it really highlights how those visual cues on a putter can unconsciously influence your alignment.
So what can we do about that? How can we make sure we're aiming correctly?
Well, he found that the putter he aimed most consistently had a prominent white alignment line running through the back of it. He felt like that visual cue really helped him align the putter more effectively. If you're struggling with consistent aim, it might be worth experimenting with putters that have different alignment aids. See if certain designs help you find that reliable setup.
So it's not just about how the putter feels, it's about how it looks, too.
Absolutely. He even went as far as to suggest using lasers or other tools during a fitting. Really dial in the face angle and address any alignment issues.
Sounds like putter fitting is this blend of art and science. Data, feel, visual feedback. Addressing all those is key to finding the putter that fits you.
That's exactly right. And that's why I think his idea for this questionnaire is so interesting. He wants to tap into the collective wisdom of other putter fitters, understand how they approach common putting problems, and build a consensus on best practices.
It's like he's crowdsourcing solutions to help golfers everywhere improve their putting. What kind of questions is he asking?
Well, he's looking for those aha moments that have helped other fitters solve those really common putting problems. Things like, how do you address inconsistent aim, improve stroke path, or find the right putter weight for different players?
So he's on a mission to demystify putter fitting, make it more accessible to everyone.
Exactly. He believes that data-driven decision-making is so crucial in golf, and this project has the potential to create a valuable resource for fitters and golfers alike.
So what does all this mean for our listener? It seems like the main takeaway is that understanding your own putting stroke is key. You can't just rely on feel or brand preferences. The data can reveal those hidden quirks that might be holding you back.
Absolutely. And here's a question for you. What aspect of putting do you struggle with the most? Is it face rotation, path, aim, or something else entirely? Understanding your specific challenges is the first step towards improvement. And we'll dive into some potential solutions in just a moment.
Yeah, thinking back to the expert's experiment, adding weight to his putter, it's a good reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all solution in putter fitting.
Right, exactly.
What works for one golfer might not work for another, even if they have, similar putting styles.
I thought it was really relatable when he talked about how that added pressure of being observed during his experiment might have affected his stroke. I think we've all had those moments on the putting green where we feel a little self-conscious and our stroke just falls apart.
Oh, absolutely. The mental game is such a huge part of putting, and even like slight distractions or self-consciousness can really impact your performance. It really makes you wonder how much our own mental state, nerves, pressure, even just general focus, how much that impacts our putting out on the course. Yeah. Do you have any tips for staying focused and calm over those crucial putts?
Well, one thing he mentioned was the importance of routine. Having a consistent pre-putt routine can help you block out distractions and focus on the task at hand. It could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths, visualizing the putt, and then stepping up and stroking the ball.
That's a great tip. I think routine is something we often overlook in golf, especially when it comes to putting. Now, you mentioned that he's developing this questionnaire to gather data from other fitters about how they approach common putting problems. What's he hoping to learn from that?
Well, he's basically trying to crowdsource solutions to those common putting woes, looking for those aha moments that might have helped other fitters solve those persistent putting problems that golfers often face.
That's interesting, like a brainstorming session across the entire putting fitting community. I'm curious, what kind of problems is he most interested in addressing?
He specifically mentioned that he wants to better understand how to help golfers who struggle with generating consistent clubhead speed and achieving a smooth stroke path.
Oh, yeah. Those are definitely challenges that a lot of golfers can relate to. I know I've struggled with both of those at times. So it sounds like he's really committed to finding solutions that can benefit a wide range of players.
Exactly. And by analyzing the responses to his questionnaire, he's hoping to develop a more refined approach to putter fitting, potentially even enhancing that flowchart he uses to guide his fitting sessions.
Well, that reminds me. He actually walked us through his process using that flowchart to analyze his own putting data. It was fascinating to see his thought process as he considered different factors and made adjustments based on the feedback.
Yeah, it really highlighted that iterative nature of putter fitting. It's not just a linear process. It often involves going back and forth, making tweaks, and reevaluating based on the data and feedback you're receiving.
What I found really refreshing was that he was very open about the fact that he's still learning and refining his methods, even after all these years of experience.
Yeah, it just goes to show that even the experts are constantly evolving and searching for ways to improve.
It's a good reminder for all of us that we can always benefit from being open to new information and approaches. Even if we think we've got it all figured out, you never know where that next aha moment might come from.
Right.
Speaking of aha moments, he mentioned that he actually discovered things about his own putting stroke during this experiment that he wasn't aware of before. That must have been pretty surprising for him.
It definitely was. But it just goes to show that even the most knowledgeable experts can benefit from a data-driven approach to analyzing their game. It can reveal those subtle quirks and inconsistencies that might be holding you back without you even realizing it.
So if an expert like him can learn something new about his putting stroke through data analysis, imagine what the rest of us could discover.
Exactly. It's like having a secret weapon in your golf bag. By understanding the nuances of your putting stroke, you can make informed decisions about your equipment and practice routines to maximize your performance on the greens.
So don't just assume you know what putter is best for you. Let the data guide you.
Precisely. And think about how empowering that is. You're not relying on marketing hype or what worked for your buddy. You're using objective information to make the best decisions for your game.
And you know what else I found really reassuring? He was very candid about his own struggles during the experiment. There were times when his stroke wasn't as consistent as he wanted it to be, even with all his experience.
It just goes to show that golf is a game of constant learning and improvement no matter what your skill level is. Everyone has those off days, even the pros.
I feel a lot better about my putting struggles now. Now, he talked a lot about the importance of identifying trends in your putting data. Can you explain what he meant by that?
Sure, he's emphasizing that it's not just about looking at individual putts in isolation. It's about seeing the bigger picture and recognizing patterns that might be contributing to your successes or your struggles.
So it's not just about whether you made or missed the putt, but how you're striking the ball, the path of your stroke, all those other factors we've been talking about.
Exactly. By analyzing those trends, you can start to see connections between your setup, your stroke, and the resultant ball flight. That's where the real insights emerge, those aha moments when you can pinpoint what's working and what needs to change.
He also made a really interesting point about how changing something like putter weight or grip size can have this ripple effect on other aspects of your stroke. And it's not always predictable what those effects might be.
That's right. The golf swing and the putting stroke in particular is a complex chain of events. And altering one element can influence the entire system in subtle ways.
It's like a delicate ecosystem. You tweak one thing, and it can have unexpected consequences elsewhere. It makes you realize that finding the right putter is about more than just the brand or model. It's about understanding how that putter interacts with your unique swing.
And that's where working with a skilled putter fitter can be so valuable. They can help you interpret the data, identify those key trends, and guide you towards a setup that optimizes your performance.
It's like having a coach who can help you decode the language of your putting stroke and translate that data into actionable insights.
Exactly. Now, here's a final thought for you to consider. As you continue on your putting journey, he mentioned that he's trying to create a consensus among putter fitters on how to best help golfers improve their putting. But what if we take that a step further? What if you actively sought out the opinions and experiences of other golfers, not just fitters?
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like tapping into a network of putting wisdom from people who have been in the trenches.
Imagine the insights you could gain from connecting with other golfers who have faced similar challenges or discovered unique solutions. You could share tips, compare notes, and maybe even find that perfect putting drill. That unlocks a new level of consistency for you.
I love that idea. It's all about community and shared learning. Really emphasizes that we're all in this together, trying to improve our putting and enjoy the game a little bit more. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me from all this is that putter fitting is a lot more complex than most people think. There's so much more to it than just picking a putter based on how it looks or feels.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's this whole process. Data analysis, understanding your stroke, the mental side of things.
He really emphasized that you can't just rely on what worked for somebody else, even if they're a pro or a scratch golfer.
Right.
What works for one person may not for another.
Right.
And the data can really help you find that putter that is optimized for you.
It's true. There's no magic bullet, No single putter that's going to work for everyone. It's about finding the right combination of factors that lets you putt consistently and with confidence.
And sometimes that means challenging your assumptions and being open to new ideas,
Mm.
even if they seem counterintuitive at first.
Absolutely. Like he talked about, a change in putter weight or grip size can have these unexpected effects on your stroke, sometimes in ways you just wouldn't expect.
Right, it's all connected.
It's about understanding those interconnected elements and how they influence each other.
And that's why it's so helpful to work with a skilled putter fitter. They can help make sense of the data, identify those key trends, and guide you towards a setup that really maximizes your potential.
Yeah, it's like having a translator who can speak the language of your putting stroke and help make informed decisions.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something you said earlier about seeking out the opinions and experiences of other golfers, not just fitters. I think that's such a smart idea.
Yeah. It's all about tapping into that collective wisdom of the golfing community. Think about it. There are so many golfers out there who have faced similar putting challenges, or they've figured out solutions that might never even end up in a textbook or a fitting manual.
Like a hidden treasure trove of putting knowledge.
Exactly. By connecting with other golfers, you can share tips, compare notes on what's worked for you, and maybe even find that one putting drill or piece of advice that completely transforms your game.
And it's not always just about the technical stuff either. Sometimes just hearing someone else's story about how they overcame their putting struggles, that can be incredibly motivating.
Absolutely. Golf can be so frustrating. And knowing that you're not alone can make a huge difference.
So to wrap things up, I think the message is clear. Data is your friend. Don't be afraid to embrace it, analyze it, and use it to your advantage.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things and seek out the advice of others. You never know where that next breakthrough might come from.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about putter fitting, and I'm excited to put some of these insights into practice the next time I'm out on the course.
I hope you do. And remember the most important thing. Have fun out there. Golf is a challenging game, but it's also a game that should be enjoyed. So get out there, experiment, and see what you can discover about your own putting stroke. You might just surprise yourself.